Kasasa, free checking that pays. Now available at Claremont Savings Bank. And HR Clough, the home energy specialist and Kearsarge Heating Oils.
Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week. We're just about ready to start the second quarter. 3rd and 9 for the Marauders on their own 21-yard line. Stafford dropping back and rolling out, has a man. The tight end shakes one tackle, and he's got the first down, shoves another defender as he barrels out of bounds for the first down.
That was 88, Elliott Kelly there, the junior. Nice job fighting the first tackler, beating him, getting the first down, because that would have been 4th down. And this far back, they would have had to punt. So nice job by Kelly keeping that play alive, fighting for the extra yards, keeping the ball moving.
So after the holding call, Hanover really digging deep to convert. 2nd and 16, taking a couple plays to get the first down, and maybe this is what they were hoping for, just a quarter too late, but get something going here. Stafford under center, fakes the handoff and drops back. Has a man open, underthrows it, and incomplete. Monahan, so the ball was underthrown. Monahan tried going back for it. He went back too much, and then it was just out of his reach.
Yeah, and Stafford was feeling the pressure a little bit there. He got hit relatively hard throwing that ball, so that might have affected the throw a little bit. But yeah, Monahan came back a little too much, just out of his reach. That could have been a big play for Hanover, but still 2nd and 20, or excuse me, 2nd and 10. Drive is not over yet.
So Monahan will sit down and sit this one out. Stafford drops back again. Nowhere to go. His receiver, I think, fell down. I think he was trying to get it to Kelly, and Kelly slipped coming off the line of scrimmage. Stafford had nowhere to go. He gets taken down for the sack.
Yeah, and that was Drew McQuarrie, the senior there with the sack. Nice job getting a foot of Stafford, bringing him down. And that really puts Hanover back a long ways. Looks like it's going to be 3rd and 22.
Yeah, they have to get 12 yards just to get back to the original line of scrimmage. So a big sack there, 3rd and 22, and it's clearly not 4-down territory unless you get up to the midfield there at 44-yard line.
Oh.
And Stafford is just bum rushed there and sacked at the 14-yard line.
Well, if Hanover wants to get away from the running game, they want to get to the passing game, their offensive line is going to need to step up and protect Stafford. He needs more time to get the ball away. And this John Stark defense still looking very dominant so far.
So Celaya back to kick, I believe. Takes it from his own end zone. Gets the kick away. Takes a couple bounces, but went out of bounds. We'll see where they'll mark it. They will mark it at the 47-yard line of Hanover. That's where John Stark will take over first down as they lead this one 21-0. You're watching the YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide here as John Stark has taken over after the punt. Nice completion there on first down. And that'll move the chains. First down for the Generals.
And that was Jacob Fitz there with the catch. He's been pretty heavily involved so far tonight.
McQuarrie in the shotgun. He'll step up in the pocket and throws nicely broken up by the Marauder defender. Let's see if we can get a number on him. The 36.
Yeah, I believe it was. That's Michael Mackel. He's the junior. And yeah, it looked like McQuarrie did catch that ball, but Mackel able to knock it out. Great defense.
They'll bring up second down. This time they'll go a little bit shorter. Completed, and nice run after the catch for maybe another first down.
And that was 31 Cooper Gorski with the reception there. moving the chains, getting the first, fighting for a few extra yards. Coaches have got to love that in their players.
So really, John Stark able to move the ball at will, minus one drive where they did have to punt. Quickly thrown out there in the flat. Looked like that ball hit the ground, but ref said it was a completion and about 3 or 4 yard gain.
And that was Kyle Booker there with the run. Nowhere really to go, but good job fighting for a few extra yards, avoiding the loss. Now it looks about 2nd and 6.
And you got to imagine it's 4th down territory, so Hanover's got to play good defense. And as I say that, they jump a little early, but we'll see what the call is. It is going to go against the Marauders. Offsides, the call, and that'll be 5 free yards. Bring up 2nd and short. When you're down 21-0, well, you never want to give away free yardage, but especially when you're in a hole 21-0 inside the red zone. So Booker gets the handoff, shifts left, and easily breaks free for a 1st down.
Yeah, Booker doing a good job running the ball here tonight. Marauders defense just hasn't seemed to have been on the same page. But this John Stark team has really showed up here tonight. Not a lot of mistakes. They're really looking good so far.
So McQuarrie gives to Booker, eludes one tackler, and he's in the end zone for the touchdown. And the Generals go up 27-0.
Yeah, Booker with relatively easy touchdown there. Had to go to his right and cut back, but fought off some contact. Caught the score. And now John Stark is up by a pretty commanding lead, 27-0. About to be 28-0.
Here's the extra point. It's up and good. So as you mentioned, the extra point goes through. John Stark takes the 28-0 lead with 8:22 to go here in the first half. We'll step aside. You're watching the YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide on the call in Hanover, and senior night here in Hanover has not gone as the Marauders had hoped. Still a lot of game left, but this John Stark team is pulling away as they lead 28-0. Really imposing their will on this Marauder squad. The kick is short. Be fielded by Mosenthal. He drops it, but it bounces right back up to him. Stumbles a little bit, but has his footing, and he'll get to about the 35-yard line. But a flag on the play. And that's going to be, is that a holding call or a block in the back? I didn't catch that one, but either way, it'll go back 10 yards.
Our next Monday night high school game of the week will feature an exciting playoff matchup that you won't want to miss right here on YCN. And I believe that was a holding penalty. No, I guess it was a block in the back.
So either way, Hanover goes back 10 yards after a nice kickoff return, really. He fielded it at 10, 11-yard line, got to the 35, but aided by the illegal block in the back. So it'll go back to the 17-yard line where Hanover will take over. They've shown signs of breaking out on offense, just have not been able to run a few plays together and get some consistent results. Hands off to Mosenthal. He breaks a tackle there and gets over the 25-yard line. 2nd down and maybe half a yard. They're going to give him the 1st down. So a nice run there by Mosenthal for the 1st down.
Yeah, it looks maybe like a little bit of a generous call there by the refs, but Mosenthal finally with a good effective run. He had one earlier, but it was brought back because of a flag. But let's see if they can get the running game going.
Stafford under center. This time he hands it to Putnam, the up man, who takes a tackler and drags him with him for a few yards. Another nice gain. 5 yards on the pickup. That'll bring up 2nd and 5. So Hanover maybe showing some signs of life, but we've seen this before only to see them stall out after gaining a first down. So they need to keep it going right here. Hand off to Mosenthal. He can't get to the corner, and that hit seemed like it was a little unnecessary, but they won't call anything. Seemed like he had the runner wrapped up and out of bounds, and then the defender coming in late, and we saw that last week in our game, the Windsor-Woodstock game, where the refs did call a late hit and ejected the player.
Right, yeah. They were not having any of that play last week. But the refs here tonight letting the boys play. Did seem a little late, but I guess not vicious enough to call the flag.
So the handoff goes to Putnam again. This time he'll get the first down. I think he caught the defensive line a little bit off guard with the up man, and a nice conversion there on 3rd down, bringing up first down.
Yeah, the Marauders doing a good job of running the ball during this drive. Offensive line seems to be stepping up.
And before the play, a timeout was called. We'll take a timeout as well with 7:02 to go in the second quarter. John Stark on top of Hanover, 28-0. You're watching the YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide, where the Generals of John Stark lead the Marauders of Hanover 28-0 here in the second quarter.
Stay tuned at the end of our telecast for the HR Clough Kearsarge Heating Oil turning up the heat player of the game when we'll pick the top performer in tonight's matchup.
So Hanover offense showing signs of life, stringing a couple first downs together, a nice 3rd down conversion. Now they'll have it 1st and 10 from their own 43-yard line. Stafford under center, 2 men behind him. Handoff goes to Mosenthal. And he is flung down after maybe a gain of a yard, maybe 2. I'll mark it at the 45. That's a 2-yard gain, 2nd and 8.
You know, one thing, Jeremy, I've noticed, number 5, Reed Winter, we have barely seen him at all tonight. I think he was on the field during the beginning of the game, but he has been on the sideline ever since. Don't know if it's an injury, but I really expected him to be playing a lot.
Handoff again goes to Caleb Putnam, the up man, and he barrels forward for enough for the first down. And as you mentioned with Winter, yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking with. He's fully dressed. He is on the sidelines, walking with the team, sticking with the team. It doesn't look like an injury, so interesting. Maybe we can get a word at halftime as to why he's not in the game. So 1st and 10, crossing midfield for the first time are the Marauders. And another one goes to Caleb Putnam. And that's been a successful play on this drive where they have 2 men in the backfield. Putnam's the up man and the back man is Mosenthal. They've decided to change their strategy. They had been giving it to Mosenthal at the beginning of the game, almost every play, and now they've kind of switched it up, and Putnam's getting the bulk of the carries and just able to catch that defensive line off guard. Putnam goes to the left side this time. Looked like he got to about the 40 before he was thrown backwards. That'll bring up 3rd and about 4 or 5 yards. And this is definitely 4-down territory. Now that you're on the other side of the 50, you got to imagine this is 4-down territory right now as they approach 5 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Absolutely, they're in John Stark territory, and also you're down 28-0. I mean, they really need to score. They need to take some chances here on offense, get some points on the board.
Goes to Putnam again, who falls forward for a few yards, but he'll be short of the first down. See where they mark it. You need to get to the 37 for the first down. That one's at the 38. So 4th and a solid yard. Obviously, they would be going for it.
Yeah, you got to go for it here. I mean,
You give it to Putnam again, just trying. He's not been stopped in the backfield.
that or maybe the QB sneak again. Only need about a yard.
Stafford under center. They do give it to
Nice.
Putnam, and he does fall forward, puts his hand on the ground to steady himself, and falls forward for a few more after initial contact.
Nice play call by the Marauders, getting the first, keeping the drive alive. If John Stark was to score another touchdown, they'd be in a whole 35-0. So Hanover's really got to make something happen on offense.
Yeah, big drive here for the game flow because, as you mentioned, if they get up 35-0 and then that second half starts, the clock is a continuous
Right.
movement. The pitch to the outside goes to Putnam. Doesn't have too much success, but does gain a couple more yards.
Our replays are being brought to you by Kasasa. Free checking that rewards in cash each month. Ask for Kasasa at Claremont Savings Bank. Qualifications and rules apply. See bank for details. Member FDIC.
Earlier in the game when they were handing it off to Mosenthal, he would get the ball behind the line of scrimmage a few yards, and it seemed like he was getting swallowed up immediately. But now they were giving it to Putnam, and it's almost as if he's able to barrel past the line of scrimmage before the defenders can even get there. And this pass is completed at the 5-yard line for a first down, Hanover.
And that was number 18, Sam Ives, with the reception there. A nice job by Stafford, finding him going across the middle. Nice throw. Sam Ives managed to hang on to the ball. Now it's 1st and goal. Hanover in a great position to get a touchdown. This could really give the Marauders a ton of momentum, and they desperately need it.
1st and goal from the 6. They give it to Putnam, and he runs in, barely touched. And that's a touchdown, Hanover. So Hanover taking a long time to get on the board, but when they do, they did it pretty convincingly, starting that drive at their own 12-yard line, inside the 15-yard line. They went basically the length of the field on that offensive possession, mixing some nice runs with some nice passes, a nice 4th down conversion. Great job there by the Marauders to cut into this lead now with the extra point pending. And the extra point up and good. So the Marauders are on the board with 3:03 to go here in the second quarter. They trail John Stark 28-7. You're watching the YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide here in Hanover, where the Marauders have just scored to get on the board for the first time tonight. They trail 28-7. Kicking off to the Generals. Last time the Generals received a kickoff, they ran it all the way back for the touchdown. Hanover will be much better on the coverage that time around, stopping the return man in just about the 20-yard line. That's where the Generals will take over.
Stay tuned at the end of today's Gridiron matchup for the Valley Regional Healthcare Staying Healthy Preventative Play of the Game.
So John Stark taking over 1st and 10 from their 20-yard line, leading 28-7. 2:57 to go here in the second quarter. McQuarrie dropping back, surveying the field, finds his brother McQuarrie. Drew on the catch. Plenty of yards, picks up the first down.
Yeah, at first glance, it looked like that ball had a chance to get picked off. Parker McQuarrie making the very accurate throw, and Drew making sure he catches it and doesn't bobble the ball up anywhere.
So McQuarrie dropping back again. Again, another play that looked like it could have been intercepted, but maybe the jump was mistimed by the Hanover defender, and it goes McQuarrie to McQuarrie again, this time for 8 yards.
Yeah, and a similar play, just like you said, Jeremy. Looked like that pass a little risky, but Parker very accurate so far. And Drew, the big receiver, hauling it in. Nice play.
Over the middle for the completion and another first down for the Generals.
That was number 25, Jacob Fitz, there with the reception. And John Stark moving the ball very quickly down the field. Just about 2 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
Yeah, this would be a huge momentum swing if Hanover could stop John Stark here before the half. Even if they don't have enough time to score, as you see the completion over the middle. Not the first down, a first down play for about 6 yards.
And that was number 31, Cooper Gorski with the reception. John Stark has really been mixing it up on offense, throwing the ball probably the majority of the time, but they've also had a number of effective runs, really keeping the Marauders off balance. Ooh.
And nicely done there by Hanover, the defender coming in. I believe that was Putnam rushing in on the edge. Made McQuarrie throw the ball a little sooner than he would have liked. The receiver wasn't quite ready, and they dropped it. That's a great blitz pick up there, a great blitz call by the Marauders. So 3rd and 4 from the Hanover 45, 1:21 to go in the second quarter. McQuarrie in the shotgun as he has been all night. Little movement on the offensive line and the defensive line. They're going to call it against Hanover, and that'll be enough for the first down. So we've seen that defensive line get a little jumpy. They did it before when they were inside the 10-yard line. John Stark was driving. They got the first down, or they got the 5 yards, and then the next play got the touchdown. This time, the 5 yards gives them the first down. So 1st and 10 from the 40. McQuarrie facing some immediate pressure, but gets it away and completed.
That's number 7 again, Leaf Malou. Leaf Malu. He, of course, returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. It's really kind of shocked everybody.
And Hanover really hasn't been able to recover.
Right. Ooh.
Some double movement there. And they'll call it a false start.
Yeah, all right. Good call.
So they'll move it back 5 yards. And as Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And Hanover really didn't know what to do, I don't think, after that one. And it's been all Generals from there on out. And again, on the second down play, a nice job by John Stark, quarterback, getting the yardage back he needed. First down. John Stark taking a timeout. We'll keep it right here. 40 seconds to go. And John Stark trying to get one last score before halftime.
Hey, local sports fans, the new YCN Sports Talk, co-hosted by our very own Jeremy Stout and Dave Collins, is every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. And 94.5 ESPN Radio's Franklin and House Sports Talk Show is on YCN every weekday evening at 6 p.m. YCN, your local view.
So 1st and 10 here for the Generals from the 25-yard line. They lead 28-7, 40 seconds to go here in the second quarter. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide. Our final regular season game of the week. As Andrew mentioned, we'll be back with playoff action next week. Yet to be determined. So John Stark coming out of the huddle, 40 seconds to go. They'll probably try some hurry-up offense here. They would love to get into the end zone one more time in this first half. Larry dropping back, surveying the field, has a man open. He's hit as he throws, but finds the man for the touchdown.
What a great pass by Parker McQuarrie. He's got a nice arm. Threw that ball very accurately, very strong, nice spiral. And made it easy for Leaf Melu to catch that ball. Run to the right corner of the end zone. John Stark answered Hanover's touchdown immediately. Really took the momentum away from the Marauders.
Extra point is up and good. John Stark with the 35-7 lead. So we'll take a quick break with 32 seconds to go here in the first half. You're watching the YCN Game of the Week. I'm really keeping it for one more. They can take a commercial break. You can take a commercial break, Alex. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide here in Hanover, where the Marauders trail the Generals of John Stark 35-7. 32 seconds to go in the first half. Hanover with their first touchdown on their last offensive possession, and then John Stark answering there to go back up 28. Line drive kick over the head of Mosenthal, which is probably better luck than if he would have caught it because he wasn't going anywhere. So they'll start with the ball at their own 20. Well, maybe you see something here out of Hanover. I don't know if they're going to have enough time because they don't typically pick up yards in big chunks. Obviously, they did have the nice pass to set up the touchdown run, but most of their yardage tonight has come between the 4 and 8 yard play.
Right.
Stafford will hand it off to Caleb Putnam, who fights forward for about 6 yards. Bring up 2nd and 4. It looks like Hanover will try and run another play as the clock continues to move. 15 seconds to go in the first half. One more play here, if they can get it off. Stafford gets the snap. He'll hand it off to Putnam, who goes forward, gets the first down, but that'll be the last play of the half. So at halftime, John Stark 35, Hanover 7. You're watching the YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back. Halftime here in Hanover. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide. High atop the field here where the Marauders trail 35-7 at the half. And quickly, Andrew, let's just talk about that first half. Obviously, the opening kickoff really knocked the Marauders back. 97-yard return. They just haven't seemed to recover completely. Showed a little bit of life there at the end of the half.
Yeah, Marauders, really their running game has been their bread and butter so far this season. And as we just learned, Reed Winter is actually out with an ankle injury. They're trying to get his ankle healthy for the next game, for the playoffs. But their running game has really been stopped in their tracks really by the John Stark defense. They've had to go to Stafford a little bit more throwing the ball. They did get one touchdown, but for the most part, it's been all John Stark. And they have been strong both on offense, defense, special teams. And after that opening kickoff, touchdown return, it's really been all Generals here tonight.
Yeah, and it's been Macquarie to Macquarie, Parker to Drew on many of the catches, and this offense really doing what they want, only punting once. So we'll see if Hanover is able to make some adjustments in the locker room. They will get the kickoff to start the second half. We'll come back with that kickoff. You're watching the YCN Game of the Week.